Hi everybody and welcome to these special editions of Inspired by Moor Voices. This first video is an exploration into the myths, legends and folklores which have lent themselves to our play Daughters of Sunset as part of the project. The Moor Voices project is an artist and community-led exploration into Bronze Age Devon, particularly looking at Dartmoor and Exmoor. It will culminate in performances of our play on both national parks in September. I've recruited a couple of friends from Med Theatre to help me tell you the stories, and throughout the video you will also find some drawings which are downloadable as a PDF on our website so that you can colour them in yourself. I hope you enjoy this first video in our special Inspired by Moor Voices series. In Daughters of Sunset, the people of Exmoor and Dartmoor offer a human sacrifice each year to the whale goddess Ceto. This is because they fear her wrath due to a past theft of some golden apples by a man named Heracles. He is also sometimes known as Hercules. But who was Heracles, and what did he do that caused Ceto so much anger?
Heracles was the son of Zeus, who was the king of the gods. He had this child with the most beautiful human woman on earth called Alcmene, but Zeus's wife, Hera, was enraged at Zeus for having a child with another woman, let alone a mortal. She hated Heracles so much that one day, when he was an adult, she worked him into a frenzy which made him kill his own wife and children. In order to redeem himself, Heracles had to serve out a number of tasks, one of which was to pluck some forbidden golden apples from the Garden of the Hesperides. The Garden of the Hesperides is an orchard on the western edge of the world, where a grove of golden apples grew. The Greeks often considered Devon and Cornwall the furthest western point in the world, so it is thought that this orchard could have been near here. The Hesperides were nymphs, called Aegle, Erythea and Hespera, who were given the task of tending to the grove, but occasionally got hungry for themselves. So the mother of the Hesperides, the whale goddess Ceto, posted her son, a never-sleeping 100-headed dragon named Ladon, to guard it. After passing through many other obstacles and finding out the exact location from Proteus, the shape-shifting sea god, Heracles finally made his way to the Garden of the Hesperides. However, Heracles knew he could not simply walk into the orchard and take the apples as Ladon was guarding it, and the Hesperides would command the dragon not to allow him to pass. First, he had to overcome Ladon, which he did by sending him to sleep and then shooting him with arrows poisoned with the blood of Lernaean Hydra. While the Hesperides looked on helplessly in the face of brute male force, Heracles pocketed the apples and disappeared back to the Mediterranean.
Brutus the Trojan is one of the lead characters in our play Daughters of Sunset. The version of this legend that we have chosen to take inspiration from is that written by Geoffrey of Monmouth in the 12th century. In this account, Brutus is the great-grandson of the Trojan hero Aeneas, who fled from Troy after it was captured by the Greeks at the end of the Trojan War. Before his birth, a sorcerer was asked to predict Brutus's future, and his parents were horrified to hear that although their child would be a man of great achievement, he would also be the cause of both of their deaths. This prophecy sadly came true, as Brutus's mother died in childbirth, and his father died when Brutus accidentally shot him with an arrow while they were out hunting. As a punishment, Brutus is exiled from his home, and he travels to Greece, where he finds a group of Trojan warriors who have been held captive by the king of Greece, Pandrasus. Brutus leads the Trojan men in a battle against the king, taking him hostage and defeating his guards. In return for his life, Pandrasus grants the Trojans their freedom, as well as giving Brutus ships for him to leave Greece with the men, who now consider him to be their leader. Brutus and his powerful group of Trojan men set sail from Greece and find themselves next on a deserted island, where he finds an abandoned temple to the goddess of hunting, Diana. Here he decides to perform the appropriate sacred rituals to Diana before falling asleep at the feet of her statue. Brutus is visited by the goddess herself while he sleeps, and in his dreams she tells him of an island in the western oceans called Albion, which is home to just a few giants. Diana then informs Brutus that it is his destiny to lead his followers there and settle the land, founding a new nation destined for greatness. Brutus and his band of men set sail once again, heading for the west, where he believes he will achieve the greatness that was predicted for him before his birth. On their way, however, they meet with another Trojan army, who are led by the great warrior Corineus. Corineus admires Brutus, and the two Trojan groups unite under the leadership of Brutus and sail to Albion. Although many other events occur during Brutus's trip to Albion, it is his landing there which is of interest to us in our story. On reaching the shore of Albion, Brutus's ships land near Totnes, and according to legend, as he stepped ashore, he said, "Here I stand, and here I rest, and this town shall be called Totnes." Today, the Brutus stone is said to mark that spot in the modern-day town of Totnes. Brutus and his men find Albion to be a fruitful and fertile land, and he becomes our first king. He renames the land Britain, a derivative of his own name Brutus, and he gifts the most southwest peninsula to his friend Corineus, which becomes Cornwall. As Diana had warned Brutus, Albion, now Britain, was inhabited by giants. These giants had a leader of their own, Gog-Magog, who instructed them to attack the Trojans who were claiming the land. In the battle against the giants, they were all slain by Brutus's men, all besides Gog-Magog, who was instead taken captive and prepared for a wrestling match against Corineus on Plymouth Hoe. Despite the giant's size, the wrestling match was well fought on both sides, and Corineus, suddenly enraged when Gog-Magog breaks one of his ribs, throws the leader of the giants from the cliffs. According to Geoffrey of Monmouth's version of this legend, Brutus went on to found the city of London, which he called Trinovantum, or New Troy, and subsequently ruled over Britain for more than 20 years. In various European and Gaelic folklore, there are many stories of seal-like creatures who come to the shore and there on the sands and the stones remove their seal skin, revealing themselves underneath to be beautiful young women. There are many tales talking of these Selkies.
In one such tale, a group of these Selkies come ashore and dance together on the beach, their seal skins laid out on nearby rocks in the fading sunlight. As they enjoy their time on the land, the Selkies fail to notice a young man who is watching them from behind a rock. One of the Selkies in particular has caught his eye, and he looks on with admiration as she dances and laughs with her friends. Having fallen in love with the woman, he sneaks over and steals her seal skin from where she has laid it. And when dancing is over and her fellow Selkies are returning to the sea, back in their seal form, she is left alone on the shore, confused and afraid. The young man emerges from behind the rock, offering kindness and a warm place to rest her head. And so the Selkie goes with him, saddened by the loss of her beautiful skin. After some time together, she begins to love the man in return and is grateful for the home he offers her while she cannot go back to the sea. Years later, when the man has married his Selkie bride
and they have had 2 children, he notices that his wife is growing unhappy. She longs for the ocean and stares at it day and night through the window in their home, missing dearly the ability to dive in and out of the waves in her seal form. As the days go on, she grows more and more miserable. One day, her children are playing in the attic of their house, and when they come across a closed box, inside, they find a beautiful, smooth skin and rush to their mother to show it to her in excitement, unaware of what it truly is. Horrified to learn that her skin had been shut up in the attic this whole time, but excited to see it again, the woman takes it with her down to the beach, and there, without another thought, pulls the skin over her body and returns to the waves. The husband and their children are saddened by her disappearance, but he knows that he must face up to the outcome of his behaviour in stealing her skin in the first place. She has always belonged in the water. Frequently, however, the 3 of them take their boat out to the sea to fish, and there, more often than not, they will find that a seal comes to them and bobs around in the waves that lap against their paddles.
Alongside and sometimes included in the stories that you've heard from us here, there are also some key characters mentioned in our play, prominently goddesses. Ceto is the whale goddess in our play, but in Greek mythology she is more commonly known as the goddess of the deep ocean and is mother to a whole host of monstrous sea creatures, including, as you might remember, Ladon the 100-headed dragon. In Inuit mythology of the North Atlantic, Sedna was a girl who married a man that turned out to be a bird spirit. This spirit kept her imprisoned until her father attempted to rescue her by taking her away in a kayak. However, the bird spirit summoned up a storm, and fearing that the kayak would be swamped and he would be drowned, Sedna's father threw her overboard, and when she tried to climb back in by clinging to the deck of the boat, he chopped her fingers off. Her fingers became seals, and Sedna herself was transformed into the goddess of the deep. You might be wondering why our play features so many references to the sea. Well, Daughters of Sunset is based in a Bronze Age Devon society which is ruled by a matriarchy, meaning that women are in charge. And did you know that many experts believe that women in particular have a special connection to the sea and to sea mammals? I will leave the final words of this episode of our Inspired by Moor Voices video to one of the characters of our play, the priestess.
Women empathise with the ways of the sea creatures. They have the same voices singing in their minds, like 2 people who were once close and can never forget each other, even though their ways have diverged.